Good morning, dear students. From your Vistas book, we are doing chapter number 7 Evans Tries an O Level by Colin Dexter. In our previous two classes, we have learned that a prisoner called Evans wants to appear for an O level German examination uh, to add to his academic qualification. So, the Oxford prison governor and the prison authorities, everyone is on high alert that he does not use this opportunity of examinations as a means of flee or escape from the prison. As Evans is already known to be Evans the Break, as he has escaped the prison thrice. Now, the governor informs the secretariat of examination that they would be arranging a parson from St. Mary Max to invigilate during the examination. Governor had indeed made sure that Jackson, the senior prison officer, and Stephens, the new recruit, have taken all cares that all the weapons from Evans' cell have been removed, whether it is a nail filer, nail scissor, razors, and stuff. And we have been told that governor has to uh, governor has bugged in the cell of Ivan, that is, he has placed a microphone in the cell of Ivan so that he himself could hear the things in his room during the examination. Now this 2 hour examination is to start at 9:15 a.m. and when Jackson comes to Evans to ask him to be ready, Evans was wearing a red and white bobble hat. Jackson asked him to remove that hat, but then he asked Jackson that because it's a lucky charm if he could be allowed to wear one. Jackson allows him to wear his hat as he hated Evans' long hair. And then we learn that how McLeary comes in the prison gate and then he has to do certain formalities in the visitor's book and he is taken in by a silent prison officer, and from there, from the excise yard to D wing, he is been escorted, and then Jackson takes him to Stephens, and Stephens introduces Evans through a peephole that this is the person who is going to sit in for the 2 hour examination. I'm on page number 76. Let's start line by line explanation of the chapter. It was 9:10 a.m. when the governor switched on the receiver. Dear students, please do underline this. 9:10 a.m. governor switches the receiver. He had instructed Jackson to tell Evans of the temporary little precaution that was only fair, as if Evans wouldn't spot it. Now the governor had instructed Evans that let Evans come to know that this is a temporary arrangement, that is, the microphone is the temporary arrangement, and it would be good that he is forewarned, and as if it was that Evans would not locate that thing. But wasn't it all a bit theatrical, schoolboyish almost? So governor is wondering that it was almost as if some drama or some theatrical event is there, something like school level drama is there. How on earth was Evans going to try anything on today? If he was so anxious to make another break, why in heaven's name hadn't he tried it from the recreational block? So governor is wondering that how on this very day when the examination is there and the prison authorities and Oxford prison, everyone is on high alert, Evans is going to try for the fourth time to escape from prison. And if there was any of his willingness or plans to escape, he would have done it from recreational block when the teacher came to wish him for his exam. Much easier, that would have been much easier. But he hadn't. And there he was now, sitting in a locked cell, all the prison officers on the alert, two more locked doors between his cell and a yard with a wall as high as a haystack. Yes, Evans was as safe as houses. So governor is wondering that now today it won't be possible for him to escape because he is sitting first in his cell. Moreover, the authorities are on alert, and from his cell to the Oxford prison yard there are two heavily locked doors, and the wall is as high as a haystack, that is a huge wall is there, and Evans is as comfortable and as safe as one would be in a house. Anyway, it wouldn't be any trouble at all to have the receiver turned on for the next couple of hours or so. It wasn't as if there was anything to it wasn't as if there was going to be anything to listen to, was it? So Governor wondered that it is a 2 hour examination, so turning on the receiver for the next 2 hours is not that big a trouble. And moreover, there was nothing to listen because the person is to sit for exam, not for chit chat. So it would be the discipline would be maintained. So nothing would be listened to. Amongst other things, an invigilator's duty was to ensure that the strictest silence was observed. So, the invigilator, the supervisor, is to make sure that the silence is there during the exam. But still that little nagging doubt. Might Evans try to take advantage of McCleary, get him to smuggle in a shell or two or a rope ladder or so Governor was a little worried and he had something going on in his mind that might be Evans is would take an advantage of the invigilator, that is McCleary. He might smuggle him or he might have some chisel, that is a long blade hand tool, or a rope ladder or something he might take an advantage of and might do some act to run away from the prison or something that might put prison authorities into trouble. The governor sat up sharply, now thinking of all these wide ideas that what all Evans could do to run away from prison. He was altogether strict and sharp, straight in his chair. It was all very well getting rid of any potential weapon that Evans could have used, but what about McCleary? So he was thinking that though the all possible weapons that Evans might be having in his cell they have been removed by Jackson, the senior prison officer, but suppose McCleary has got something that Evans could take an advantage of. What if quite unwittingly the innocent McCleary had brought in something himself? So McCleary might have brought innocently something that he could take advantage of, that is Evans, a jackknife perhaps. And what if Evans held him hostage with such a weapon? So he starts wondering that if McCleary had brought a jackknife or he can make McCleary as a captive with this weapon, then what? The governor reached for the phone, so he was worried that might be McCleary might be carrying any weapon that Evans can take an advantage of. So he makes a call. It was 9:12 a.m. Underline this, students. 9:12 a.m. Governor reached for the phone. The examinee and the invigilator had already been introduced by Stephens when Jackson came back and shouted to McCleary through the cell door, "Can you come out a minute, sir? You too, Stephens." So the examinee, that is Evans, and invigilator, that is McCleary, they have been introduced by each other by Stephens. By then, Jackson comes and announces to McCleary and to Stephens to please come out of the cell. Jackson quickly explained the governor's worries, and McCleary patiently held out his arms at shoulder level whilst Jackson slightly frisked his clothes. "Something hard here, sir." "My reading glasses," replied McCleary, looking down at the spectacle case. So Jackson very quickly explains that governor was worried that might be you might have something with you that Evans can take an advantage and flee for the fourth time. So McCleary cooperated, and Jackson very quickly checks on his clothes and stuff, and then he found that something was hard. So McCleary announces, "This is my reading glasses, a spectacle case is there." Jackson quickly reassured him, and bending down on the landing, thumb flicked the catches on the suitcase. So Jackson quickly checks on, he bends down, he quickly checks on him. He was assured that it was the reading glass case, and then spectacle case, and then he bend and checks on the suitcase and thumb flick, that is jerked the catches, that is the locks of the suitcase, to open it, to check on it. He picked up each envelope in turn, carefully passed his palms along their surfaces, and seemed satisfied. He riffled cursorily through a few pages of Holy Writ and vaguely shook the church stamps. All right so far. But one of the objects in McLary's suitcase was puzzling him sorely. So now Jackson is checking the contents of the suitcase and he got an envelope, so he's running his palm on it to check on the things. Then he saw the rapidly goes through the few pages of the Bible. Holy Writ is Bible, and then he checks on the church stamps, that is the newspaper. But then one thing was there in the suitcase that troubled him. What it was? Do you mind telling me why you have brought this, sir? He held up a smallish, semi inflated rubber ring, such as a young child with a waist of about 12 inches might have struggled into. You thinking of going for a swim, sir? So Jackson questions McLary. Now, in the suitcase was semi-inflated, that is half-inflated rubber ring. So Jackson was amazed that what this rubber ring is all about. Underline this one. So he was amazed that what this rubber ring is all about, and it was so small even the young child would struggle to get into it. So he just makes a fun of him, asking, will you go for a swimming for after your these things? McLary's her 3 row amiable demeanor was slightly ruffled by this tasteless little pleasantry, and he answered Jackson somewhat sorely. If you must know, I suffer from hemorrhoids, and when I'm sitting down for any length of time, now till now, here 3 low, that is up till now, up till this time. Demeanor, that is attitude, behavior. Amiable means friendly. So till now McLary was very much cooperative. He was cooperating the prison authorities, the prison officers. Now with this tasteless joke of Jackson whether McLary was to go to a swim, he was puzzled, he was disturbed, and he answered Jackson in roughly in a rude manner what that he suffers from hemorrhoids, and that when he has to sit for a pretty long period of time he requires one. Very sorry, sir. I didn't mean I didn't mean to The embarrassment was still reddening Jackson's cheeks when he found the paper knife at the bottom of the case. I think I would better keep this though, if you don't mind, that is, sir. So now when Jackson learns that the person is suffering, so he was altogether in an awkward situation. He was red in his face. He felt ashamed of his own question. And then he checks the suitcase and gets a paper knife, and then announces to McLary that he would not allow this paper knife to be with him. He's going to keep this with him. It was 9:18 a.m. before the governor heard their voices again, and it was clear that the examination was going to be more than a little late in getting underway. So all these things governor realizes, because the voices are coming or not coming, whatever, from the cell. It was 9:18 and governor realizes that it will take certain time for the examination to be start, more than a little late, that it is delayed in getting underway, that is to start. Now governor hears voices. What he hears? McLary. You've got to watch. Evans. Yes, sir. McLary. I will be telling you when to start and again when you have 5 minutes left. All right? Silence. McLary. There's plenty more of this writing paper should you need it. Silence. McLary. Now write the name of the paper 0211 in the top left hand corner. Silence. McLary. In the top right hand corner, write your index number 313, and the box just below that write your center number 271. All right. So now when governor hears, he is hearing that McLary is giving instructions to Evans, and McLary first of all queries and puts question to Evans whether he is having a watch or not, and then he is giving him instructions are to be underlined. What? Write the name of the paper 0211, please underline. Then the index number 313, underlined. Then center number 271, underlined. So he gives him them instruction what So McClary is giving all instructions to Evans regarding the paper, that is whether he requires a writing paper, then he is having many, then where to write the name of the paper, or on the top right hand corner he has to write the index number, on the just below that he has to write the center number. All these instructions are given by McClary. Silence, 9:20 a.m. McClary, I'm now going to. Evans, he's not going to stay here, is he? McClary, I don't know about that. Stephens, Mr. Jackson's given me strict instructions too. Evans, how am I supposed to concentrate on my exam with someone breathing down my neck? Christ, sorry, sir, I didn't mean. Now McClary, while he was giving all this instruction, it was 9:20 a.m. when these instructions were going on, and Evans questioned whether this person is going to sit over here. McClary says, I don't know about things. Stephen informs that yes, now if you remember, we have read in our previous class that 2 tables and 2 chairs were kept. So one chair was meant for obviously McClary, and the other chair was for Stephens, and on the cell door, very close to cell door, one table and chair was kept. So that was used by Stephens. So Stephens says, I have been instructed by Jackson. So Evans says, how am I going to concentrate on my exam with someone sitting very close, remain very near to me, close to me? Then he says, sorry. First he says God, and then he says, sorry. The governor reached for the phone. Jackson, good. Get Stephen out of that cell, will you? I think we are perhaps overdoing things. Now, governor, who was listening to every bit, he realized that, okay, so he questions, he tells Jackson that ask Stephens to come out of the cell. Might be we are taking things too far. We are overdoing with things, so ask him to come out. As you wish, sir. So Jackson says, okay, good. The governor heard the exchanges in the cell, heard the door clang once more, and heard McClary announce that the examination had begun at last. Now the governor heard that the metallic cell door was open and then closed again, and McClary announcing that the examination has started.